Hello everyone, welcome back to Behind the Pages with Maggie, breaking barriers one story at a time. Today I welcome you to episode 34, where we'll be reading the story of Almost to Freedom, written by Vonda Michaud Nelson and illustrated by Colin Bootman. Now just a disclaimer, we'll be dividing the story into two parts, so today we'll be reading the first part of the story because I think it's quite a long one. And of course, before we begin reading the first part, let's begin with some context so we can better understand the storyline and the meaning the author is trying to convey to us. Lindy and her doll, Sally, are best friends. Wherever Lindy goes, Sally stays right by her side. I think by the front cover we can presume that the doll is Sally and the person hugging the doll is Lindy. So they eat together, sleep together, and even pick cotton together. So on the night Lindy and her mama run away in search of freedom, Sally goes too. Now it's very important for us to keep in mind that we're also in the context where slavery was legal in Northern America. So this is basically told from the perspective, or we can also say from the point of view of the doll, Sally, on this courageous journey that this young girl and her mother goes on to pursue freedom. This young girl's rag doll basically vividly narrates her enslaved family's courageous escape through the Underground Railroad. It is a heart-wrenching and uplifting story about friendship and the strength of the human spirit that will touch the lives of all the readers long after the journey has ended. And that's basically what the author says. And without further ado, I'm very excited for the story and I hope you are as well. Let's get into the story then. I started out no more than a bunch of rags on a Virginia plantation. Lindy's mama was my maker. Ms. Rachel done a fine job putting me together, taking extra time to sew my face on real careful with thread. Embroidery, they call it. I don't have no hair. Ms. Rachel just made a bandana from some old cloth and tied it around my head like she wore. I used to think about having some hair, but now it don't bother me none. When she's done sewing, Miss Rachel give me to her little girl. Lindy hugs me hard and says, "Your name be Sally. We're gonna be best friends." And from that first day, when Lindy be somewheres, I be there with her. I like how Lindy holds me at night and don't even mind when she rolls over me in her sleep. Being Lindy's doll, baby, is a right important job. When Lindy and Miss Rachel pick cotton, I be there too. Lindy ties me around her waist with a rope. The knot's kinda loose, and after a while, I fall to the ground. "Sally, you're getting yourself all dirty," Lindy says. "Now you stay put." Miss Rachel wipes sweat from her brow and shows Lindy how to tie me on tight. The overseer hollers, "Get up there," like he's talking to a couple of horses. He's riding over carrying his whip. Miss Rachel and Lindy quick stop picking again. The work be hard, but the long days seem a mite easier than everyone's saying. Swing low, sweet chariot, coming forward, carry me home. Come sundown, we sit around and listen to stories about little critters fooling big ones, and about slaves outsmarting the masses. These are the best times 'cause there's lots of laughing and singing. But when folks start talking about something called freedom, their faces turn serious in the firelight. Some say you can buy freedom, but it's so dear we never heard of anyone ever could. Seems the only other way to get it is to run away to a place called North. The way they talk, freedom must be a good thing. But after what happened to Lindy's papa, I ain't so sure. Strangers chain Mr. Henry in a wagon and take him away. Master sold him down the river is what folks say, 'cause he tried to get freedom. Miss Rachel, she cried and cried, Lindy too, and she hugged me so hard I think my insides will burst out of my seams. After that, Miss Rachel sits up at night looking at the sky. She holds Lindy and Lindy holds me. She rocks us, singing, steal away home. I ain't got long to stay here. One day, Lindy gets whipped by the overseer. She didn't do nothing but ask Master's son how to spell her name. Well, the boy tells on Lindy, and Master comes out and says, we'll make sure you people forget all about reading and writing. He makes everybody start working to watch. I'm tied to Lindy, but when the whipping starts, I slip out and fall. My face is on the ground, but I hear the overseer's black snake whip. I hear Lindy screaming. I hear Miss Rachel crying. And when it's over, I see the cuts on Lindy's back. While she's doctoring Lindy, Miss Rachel whispers a prayer. Lord, don't let Master be selling my baby like he done her papa. Later, Lindy sets me on a stump, her cheeks wet with tears. Some day, Sally, we won't be doing what Master says. We be going to freedom. I'm thinking, Lord have mercy. One night, Lindy's sleeping beside me like always. Then there's whispering, and Lindy's getting her clothes on. The sun ain't awake yet, but field workers is always up before dawn, so I don't think much of it. Miss Rachel's all dressed and telling Lindy, hurry now, but hush. Lindy grabs me up and ties me to her. The way Lindy's heart's beating, I know something's important's happening. Lindy takes Miss Rachel's hand, and we sneak out behind our shack and run into the night. I know I ain't running, but it feels like I am. Feels like I'm flying. Branches slap us along the way like they scolding, warning us to go back, but Miss Rachel don't pay no mind, just keeps running. My feet, Mama, there's burrs. Lindy says, I know, baby, Miss Rachel whispers, but we gotta keep on. We run for a while, then hide under the bush. Then we run some more. Lindy's breathing hard, but says, don't be worrying, Sally. Mama say we be with Papa soon. Soon don't come real soon. But sure enough, Mr. Henry's waiting by the river. He hugs Miss Rachel, then he lifts Lindy into the air and me with her. Papa, Lindy says, laughing, but Mr. Henry covers her mouth and holds her close. Quiet now. We must get to the boatman and cross over. We hurry along the bank to where the man is waiting with his skiff. Without one word, we climb in. The night is dark as inside a possum. It's dead quiet except for the sound of the boatman pushing his oars. My face soaks up little splashes of water as we glide along. On the other side, Miss Rachel squeezes the boatman's hand. Lindy's papa leads us through the night woods. We run and hide, till we come to a house with a lantern glowing soft in the wind. We crouch behind the barn. Lindy's papa calls out, "Woohoo!" like a hooty owl. The lantern goes out. A white man wearing eyeglasses steps out of the dark. He motions us to follow him to the back of the house. So, that is for part 1 of the story of Almost to Freedom. And for the next episode, we'll find out if Sally and Lindy and her mother, and of course Mr. Henry, does make it safely to freedom in the north. I hope you enjoyed the first part of the story so far, and tune in for the second part in our next episode next week. This is Behind the Pages with Maggie, breaking barriers one story at a time. I'm so happy that you're here with us and listening to the story. Goodbye for now.